Star/entitled parents. This is something I've been wanting to look at for a long time, and something people have been asking me to look at for not as long of a time, but I figured I might as well because if you guys don't know what entitled parents is, you'll know by the end of this video if you don't look it up right now. It's basically just parents who think that their kids are more important than anything else ever, which is true to an extent until you go to the other person's perspective. So let's get right into it. First one of the day. No lady, finders keepers isn't a real thing. Honestly, just writing this post makes my own eyes and fingers hurt. The fact that it actually happened makes me want to vomit every time I think about it. So why don't I start with a little backstory? About 3 years ago, I was 15 at the time, 2 friends and myself went on a small camping trip. The area we went was about a mile away from a farmer's market that came every other Friday. Several of the booths there sold outdoorsy stuff. One guy even sold both homemade and antique knives. Being the teens that we were and still are, we decided to visit it. Personally, I wanted to buy my grandfather a knife and engrave his name into it. I didn't get to see him a lot, but his birthday was coming up and I knew that he collects antique weapons, World War II guns, knives, etc. So after a short but of convincing my dad, I went camping with my friends so I could shop the next day. Friday came and my friends and I walked to the market. After blowing a couple of bucks on food, I went to check out the cutlery. My friends took off to check out some other stuff while I shopped. After a few minutes, I managed to find the perfect knife. It was a large, curved combat knife with rainbow steel blade and an oak wood handle, as well as a leather sheath. It cost me about 60 bucks. Worth it. I put the knife carefully in my backpack and continued to shop. At the end of the day, my friends and I started heading back to the campsite. We were almost there when my friends told me that stuff was falling out of my backpack. I picked up what little had fallen out and stuffed it back inside. That's when I noticed the knife was missing. I gave my friends my pack and told them to go back to the campsite and start the campfire while I looked for the knife. Here is where the story starts. A couple of minutes of mild jogging and checking the trail for my knife, I noticed a woman and her kid walking towards me. I slowed down, planning to ask them if they'd see my knife. Before I had even got the chance, I noticed a familiar shape in the kid's hands. I was damn near ecstatic. Then things went south. I stopped the two of them. "You found my knife, thank God. I've been looking for it forever." Well, maybe not forever, but what can I say? It sure felt like it. Entitled parent. "I'm sorry?" "The combat knife. I lost it while walking up the trail. I hadn't zipped up my back." At this point, the woman cuts me off. "Well, it's your fault for losing it. It belongs to my son now." In the moment, I probably looked dumbfounded. I had expected this woman to maybe laugh with me and have her kid hand the knife over. Not this. No, it belongs to me. I bought it. And you also lost it. Finders keepers. I was astonished. How can a woman, 3 times my age, be so childish? Finders keepers is a thing kindergartners say. It's not a real thing. Too bad for you. You lost it, so now it's my son's. EK, entitled kid. The kid was maybe around 8 to 10 years old with absolutely no experience of how to hold a knife. He didn't seem to even notice I was there. Instead, he was fixated on pulling the knife out of the sheath, which was held in with some twine tied in a knot. Me, getting angry, I decided to grab for the knife. The kid was unfortunately faster and backed up. Then the woman had the effing nerve to actually slap me. "Don't you dare touch my kid, you little schnit. You think you're so tough because you're older than him," and I won't bother writing all of what she said here, but let me assure you, it wasn't pretty. I think even a few racial slurs were thrown in there, even though we were both white. At this point, the kid manages to untie the knot on the knife and pull it out of the sheath. I managed to see him out of the corner of my eye just to see his other hand rub against the blade. He instantly drops the knife and begins screaming as he holds his bleeding thumb. The parent turns to her child's aid, yet somehow continues screaming at me. I once again go for my knife. This woman darts out and slaps me again. And then, karma. She blindly tries to grab the knife so I can't get to it. Little does she know that this knife is effing sharp. I had already cut my hand before I bought it. So, in her blind grab, she wraps her whole hand around the blade, Once the steel bit into her hand, she threw the knife a few feet away. I rushed over, grabbed the knife in the sheath. I decided I didn't want to have to deal with this woman any longer and ran. I did look back just to see the woman holding her bleeding palm and still shouting at me. A month later, I had cleaned the knife, engraved my father's name into it, and gave it to him as a birthday gift, as well as the story that came with it. The knife sits on the mantle to his fireplace as a reminder to everyone out there, don't be a... yeah. Some people are just crazy. Like, the fact that you can be, she was probably 30 or 40 years old, and still think that just because you find something means it's yours. That's not how that works. Don't be one of those people. Don't be that person. Okay. Another one rides the bus. This one has a lot of swearing in it, so I'll try to do what I can. I effing hate riding public transit. So much that I maintain a flaming money pit of a car just to avoid ever having to ride the Povo limo. And having to assume I'll be a half hour late or an hour early no matter when I time my connections. If the driver decides he wants to stop and have a chin wag with the guy at the 7-Eleven, that's apparently his time and not mine. The one saving grace is the train, but it's construction and drunk pedestrian season. So it's a bit of a crapshoot when it comes to whether or not that train is running on time or you have to grab a shuttle bus around the issue. I preface with that because this morning there was an issue on the tracks downtown and parking down there is prohibitively expensive. So I had to park my car 4 blocks away from a terminal, walk in, and catch the train downtown only to find out that I'd have to grab a shuttle bus to get to where I need to get on time. Yay for me. So I take the train 1 stop into downtown and shuffle off to the shuttle bus stop along with a couple dozen other disgruntled people, including EM and her EK. EM was complaining to anyone who happened to be listening that one of her personal friends was going to be running into the next mayoral race and he'd get the trains running a heck of a lot better than the current mayor, who she didn't so much mention by name, but simply with a string of slurs right in the middle of a very diverse group of people. Smart. Entitled kid was whining like a dog with its thing caught in a ringer, and making the whole situation, which was already miserable and 2 steps away from devolving into a free-for-all at the side of a shuttle bus, that much less enjoyable. And then it happened. EK spotted another kid, maybe 3 years old, quietly playing with a stuffed dog that had seen better days. EK marched over, snatched the stuffed dog, and sauntered back to his mother's side like he was grabbing a free newspaper from a rack. The kid he stole it from immediately loses their schnitt and starts wailing like a banshee. The kid's mother, PM, perturbed mother, looks down at her kid, then where the kid is pointing, directly at EK, who has realized something is about to go down and is stepping behind his mother. PM wheels her kid over and taps EM on the shoulder as she's complaining to someone about the state of things with liberals in charge. I happen to be about 4 feet away, contemplating hoofing it to my destination as this starts to go down. Excuse me? What? Your son stole something from my kid. I'd like him to give it back. Nonchalant as all F. Did he? She looks. EK is clearly hiding it behind his back and is trying to do the puppy eyes thing. Doesn't look like it to me. Are you accusing my son of stealing? Quite perturbed. Accusing my... But he has it behind his back. EM turns to EK, who is clearly guilty as F, doing his best to look cute. Do you have something behind your back? It's mine. I brought it from home. Couldn't see PM's face, but the lateral cobra head weave is never a sign that something pleasant is about to transpire. At this point, I wished for popcorn. Excuse me, are you just gonna let your kid lie like that? EM switches to an angry white lady puffy bird style. Are you calling my kid a liar? You know dang well that your kid didn't have that when he left the house. It was on the ground. I picked it up. It's mine. The story begins to shift, as I'm wishing I could see PM's face. By now, all eyes are on them and not the shuttle bus pulling up. It stops, the doors open, Ian grabs her kid and tries to push her away on to escape the situation. PM is having none of it and starts hollering after her. Enter bus hero, BH. BH is clearly another transit operator hitching a ride with the shuttle bus, and he stands right in front of EM, like a goddamn avatar of justice delivered forth by the heavens. Bus hero looks like he's only driving the bus because he got let go by the prison system for scaring that schnit out of inmates. Somehow he knows what's going on, or could smell the beef between these two from 3 blocks away, like a goddamn apex predator of the transit department that he was. What's going on? My God, he might as well be Batman. I'm not even the least bit interested in men, but this guy is one of the most impressively hardened people I've ever laid eyes on, and I've been in the presence of guys who have quite legit murdered people and done time. EM is unimpressed. That lady is trying to steal from my son. That one? Yes. The one with the screaming toddler. She's trying to... BH looks down at EK. Give it back. EK bursts into a total meltdown and tries to pull the stuffed dog's head off. BH lets out a mighty "Oi!" and the kid is stunned into total silence for half a second. BH goes for the object of contention. EK dodges, pushes his way out of the bus back onto the street, holds the dog out towards the kid, and winds up the throw into traffic. BH is on him in an instant. He grabs the kid's wrist, deftly plucks the dog from EK's hand, and holds it away from him. EM is now all over BH, cursing and swearing like a gut-shot sailor. Behind them, the shuttle bus slowly fills up. I hang back. I'm already going to be late, and I want to give an effing statement. The driver honks. BH lets go of the kid, takes the dog back to PM, kneels down like the magnificent person that he is, and personally hands the dog back to the wailing child. The wailing kind of peters out, and he helps her onto the bus with the stroller. EM tries to push her way on with EK. No dice. BH doesn't need to say anything. His baleful glare is enough to shoot her back about 3 feet. He looks at everyone still left on the bus. Anyone see the start of this? A few of us raise our hands. BH, put your hands down if she was telling the truth. Nobody lowers their hand. I thought not. You'll have a good morning. The next shuttle will be here in 5 minutes. BH stuffs himself into the door and signals the driver to get moving. The driver knows better than to ignore an order from BH. The doors close and they sail off into traffic. A long moment passes. EM takes a deep breath, and off she goes again. Okay, how am I going to do this? I am calling effing by law on his butt. You all saw him assault my kid. None of you are going to effing anywhere until I have this effing job for this. Long story short, we all got on the next shuttle, which arrived early for a change, as EM shrieked at us to stay put so she could get statements. EK wailed like an inconsolable infant the entire time. She tried to hold up the bus. The driver of the bus told her to either sit down or get off the bus. She chose to get off the bus so she could keep shrieking into her phone. And off we went, out into downtown traffic. The guy mashed in the aisle next to me ripped a fart so foul I almost threw up. I was 20 minutes late to the workshop I had attended, and all I could tell them was I had to catch the shuttle bus and some psycho and her kid were causing a scene. The lady at the reception desk shrugged. This is why I carpool. Wow. That's quite the spectacle. I can't imagine being in that situation. I would... It would drive me insane. I would get so heated. But... yeah, that does it for Entitled Parents for now. I'm keeping it short because I have a tight schedule today, and I don't know if you guys are going to like this enough for me to do a full-fledged video. But if you do, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know that you want to see more of this, and I will gladly do more of this. Or just any other Reddit videos or Reddit series. Because this is hilarious to me. I may not laugh that much, but on the inside I'm dying right now. It's hilarious. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching.